They arrived in a decade that never stopped moving. The 1970s were years of transition, rebuilding, and reckoning. Oil crises, economic uncertainty, Watergate, and the Vietnam War's bitter end colored the backdrop of childhood. These were kids who heard adults talk about inflation at the dinner table and unemployment in hushed tones. The world wasn't falling apart like the decade before, but it wasn't stable either. It was shifting beneath their feet, and they learned to walk on unsteady ground. I remember my mom saying we didn't have much, but we had enough. That phrase stuck with me. Enough became the standard. Not abundance, not security, just enough to get by. And somehow, that was supposed to be fine. So we made it fine. We didn't complain. We just kept going. This generation didn't grow up in the chaos of the 60s, but they inherited its aftermath. They watched their parents try to rebuild trust in broken systems. They saw optimism fade into realism. They learned early that promises don't always hold, that plans change, that nothing is guaranteed, and that shaped them in ways they didn't even notice at the time. My older brother used to say we were the forgotten middle kids of America, not rebellious enough to make headlines, not new enough to be the future, just there, doing what needed to be done. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. We weren't coddled or celebrated. We were expected to figure it out. People who grew up in the 1970s developed a quiet resilience, not the loud, defiant kind, the kind that shows up without fanfare. They learned independence because they had to. Latchkey kids before the term became common. Walking home alone, making snacks, doing homework without help. Parents were working, stretched thin, trying to keep up, so the kids learned to manage themselves. There was no helicopter parenting, no constant check-ins. You were given responsibility and trusted to handle it, and most did. That built something solid inside them, a sense of capability, a knowledge that they could take care of themselves. Emotionally, they learned restraint. Feelings weren't discussed the way they are now. You didn't talk about anxiety or stress. You just dealt with it, quietly, privately. That doesn't mean they didn't feel deeply. They did. But they carried it differently. They didn't seek validation or sympathy. They moved forward. They solved problems. They endured. And they didn't expect praise for it. This created adults who value action over words, who trust consistency over promises, who show love through presence, not performance. They may not be expressive in obvious ways, but their loyalty is unshakable. When they commit, they stay. When they care, they show up, especially when things get hard, because hard times aren't foreign to them. They've been there before. These individuals don't need the world to be perfect to function. They've already lived through imperfection, economic downturns, political scandals, shifting values. They've seen it. They adapted then. They can adapt now. Their strength isn't flashy. It doesn't post online. It doesn't seek recognition. It simply exists in their work ethic, in their patience, in their ability to keep moving when others freeze. They are often mistaken for being closed off or unemotional. But that's not accurate. They feel deeply. They just don't broadcast it. They learned early that the world doesn't stop for your feelings. So they kept pace. They held things together. They became the steady ones, the reliable ones, the ones you call when things fall apart. The psychology of the 1970s generation is rooted in self-reliance and quiet endurance. They are not cold. They are composed. They are not distant. They are discerning. They learn to survive without instruction manuals. And that lesson never left them. They are still here, still steady, still strong. Are you from the 1970s? If this resonated with you, share your story in the comments. The world has changed, but your strength hasn't. Let us know you're here. If this perspective shifted something in you, subscribe. We explore these deeper truths every day. Like the video to help others discover this message. And if you want to connect with others who understand, join our community. The link is in the description. This isn't just content, it's connection.